Thank you. Thank you so much for your patience. My name is Jason. I am a brand identity designer, and thank you so much, guys, for listening to us live, not only on Clubhouse but also on LinkedIn. I appreciate all the listeners: Alicia, Rohan, Alma, Luza, Lisa. I have Timothy and Manav and Thomas from LinkedIn. So thank you so much, guys, for your love and support. And I'm going to start off this show with a really cool quote which I found online. Okay, which I think it goes really well with the topic of today's discussion. Life is a journey, and the road we travel has twists and turns, which sometimes leads us to unexpected places and unexpected people. But in turn, it always leads us to our destination. So today we're going to be discussing, this is season 3 episode 5, expecting or expect the unexpected with Sara. And during this episode, Sara, who is a very, very close and dear friend of mine, we will be discussing her life experiences of how she managed to cope up with all of life, adversities, uncertainties, both positive and negative. And she created a life full of possibilities by staying strong and expecting the unexpected as a part of the series we are currently doing called as the Dark Side of Entrepreneurship. If you don't know much about Sara, Sara is actually a very, very cool person, very easy to speak to, a very gentle human being. She's an entrepreneur. She's also an event planner. She founded her company, 23 Events, around June, I think, if I'm not mistaken, right? Sara, this year? Am I right?
Yes, that's right, in June.
Awesome. And so 23 Events is actually a strategic event planning company based out in Thailand. And Sarah's company, although it's fairly new, but she has a lot of experience in marketing and advertisement. Okay, from her background. So she offers experiential events along with marketing strategies for client locally in Thailand as well as internationally. She's very well known for destination weddings. So in case if anybody who is actually listening to our show, if you want to do a destination wedding specifically in Thailand, she's the go-to person to reach out to. I'm just saying. Her company offers a variety of services such as product launches, exhibition, corporate events, and many, many more. So thank you so much, Sarah. Once again for being a part of today's conversation. And let's actually start off, with a little bit about your childhood, and let's actually backtrack a bit. I know you are a part of a joint family system. And guys, I'm sure many of you guys may not be aware what is a joint family system. Culturally, at least in India, or people who are originally from India, we follow a joint family system wherein we live collectively along with your grandparents, parents, uncles, aunties, children. We all live together. So, what was it like, Sarah, growing up in a joint family system? And what kind of impact did that had on your childhood or adulthood? So let's actually hear from there.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Sawadee-ka. I hope you're all doing well this evening or morning. Must be in the States, must be early morning. So wherever you are in the world, hi, I'm Sarah. So what's it like to live in a joint family? It is bittersweet, I would say, because it has its own recipe, I would say. So the thing is that with joint family, you're living with, I live in a joint family with 7 or 6 uncles and their children. So you can imagine it's a house full. And what happens is like we all at that time when I was young had only one person to listen to, and that's my grandfather. So he's the man of the house. Whatever he says goes, and that's how it is in the joint family. And because the why? Because the business is also together, it's joint. It's not only the family, but it's also the business. So the capital and everything comes from one source, and that's the huge, and that's where my grandfather is actually. That's how it goes in a joint family. So whatever he says, whatever grandma says, that's it. That's the decision maker. Those are the decision makers, and that's how we live. Not easy, quite tough, but that's how it goes. If you're asking what joint family really means. Jason, would you
Yeah.
like to ask me further? Because there's so much to say, and I don't want to clog everybody up with this.
I actually have a feeling that one of the reason
conversation.
why joint family system is so successful, specifically in India, is because I think it may have to do a lot with the constraint of space, living spaces, scarcity, infrastructure, those kind of things. But other than that, I see a lot of upside and downside to it. One of the upsides which I personally see is that because you're living collectively as a whole, I feel there is a good process of you respecting every other person in that space, and you also have the ability of sharing a lot of things with one another, which because sometimes when we live independent we become so naive, and you become so attached to certain things you would not want to share. But again, that's just my personal opinion. So what are some of the things which you feel are some pros and cons being a joint family system? Because I am positive many of the listeners who are actually listening may not really understand the concept of why we decide to live as a joint family. Like even today, like me also, I also stay with my mom and dad. Occasionally my sister, she comes back and forth, and my brother also sometimes he comes and stays occasionally. So yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
Okay, let me take you back a little bit. It's a little bit different for someone like people living in Bangkok or Indians living in Bangkok, Thailand. So we are actually, my great grandfather migrated from where it used to be, it is now Pakistan, but it was India. So when he migrated, he came alone first, and then the rest of us followed through the generation, through the times and everything. So we did have a very concise unit or place to live in, and everybody who was a family lived together. And that's what joint family actually do. We support one another. And that was the best part about it. Another part that was really, really good about living in joint family is that we really never needed anybody as a friend because our cousins were like ample. We had a lot of, I had a total of 21 cousin brothers and sisters together. So it's
What?
really huge. And then so we would play together, have a lot of fun together. We learn from one another definitely. But yeah, that's the beauty of it. And especially when it's wedding times, oh, we had a blast. It was like 2 weeks of fun. And everybody's so loving and caring and doing everything together. And during the mango season, like, in Thailand, the mango season is usually during the summer. So we had this huge mango tree, I remember, and we would just gather all of us would gather together, pick up, pluck the mangoes and make it into pickles. And we really had good times growing up in the joint family. So it's fun. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, the downside of it is that because we live in a joint family, our parents don't really have much say. Like I said, my grandfather had all the say. So when that happens, whatever, like for me, it was difficult. Education seems to be a difficult part for me at that time because he had a mindset to send us all to India. We are living in Bangkok, but we have to go to India away from our mom and dad and everything. And I was very, very young. So when that decision was made, that kind of like affected me a lot. And there was a lot of other stories related to how whatever happened to me when I was in India and how I came back and being, I was like the fourth granddaughter. So whatever happened to me in India wasn't very good, wasn't very pleasant. And when I got back, that was the end of us going to India, and things changed rapidly from there on. So there are some goods and bad sides of living in a joint family. Over to you.
Absolutely, absolutely. I totally agree with the one aspect from what you said. The freedom of expressing how you feel in a joint family system could be very, very limited. There's a lot of privacy issues also. Like you can't really keep a secret. Eventually your cousins or family members would know some other guy or girl somewhere, and eventually it would get leaked out. And parenting styles would differ. There could be a lot of conflict. So I totally agree with you on that aspect. I want the audience to really understand a little more about your background. So I know from what you said is that your grandfather moved from Pakistan to Thailand, and you belong to a family of serial entrepreneurs, traders, and merchant. What was it? What was it like growing up among entrepreneurs? Did that any chance influence you to eventually become an entrepreneur, or it did not, and you wanted to do something else?
So when it comes to that point, it's like, yes, it affected me affected all of us. To be honest, all of us have that in our blood because we grew up like as a merchant, we were in textiles traders. Okay, so we are textile traders. And all of us, all my cousin brothers and myself, we grew up sleeping on like a pile of textiles. That's how we grew up. Of course, today is different. It's very different in terms of how we see things and the way we do our business. So there's a lot of economical changes as well. So that also, diverts the way we think and the way we do business. But yes, being in this family has taught us that business is the only way to be financially free. All of us have that, whether we're still in textile or not. We are traders and we will always be that way. That's how
Interesting.
it is.
That is very, very interesting. So in that case, Sarah, like, the thing which pops in my head, why didn't you actually start up a textile business, and why did you lean on to the event business in that case?
Wow, that's a kind of a tough question, I would say. So let me get back to how things all worked out. I'm sure all of you, in some way or another, understand that Bangkok, Thailand, is surrounded by the neighboring countries like Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia. So when I was really young, okay, let's talk about the business aspect. So when my grandfather, being a merchant and all, we deal with a lot of foreigners trading in in Bangkok, Thailand, for during the Vietnam War. So you have to understand that there were a lot of foreigners coming into trade as well as the Vietnam War going on at the same time. And who were the ones who could speak English and Thai fluently? So it was the Indians there, us. We could do that, the Indians. So a lot of us did the trading for the foreigners as well as communicating it with the Thais and the Chinese. So that's how trading actually was like. And then after that, things grew more after the Vietnam War. Okay, so things gradually changed. Now, like I told you, I was in India for education. My mom is an elementary school teacher from Malaysia, not even a Thai. She was from Malaysia. She got married and came here. Now, so what happened was when the Vietnam War ended, things changed really fast for us. The way trading was, the way things move, it was not all the Americans left Bangkok and went back because it was the end of the war. So what happened? So what happened was the shift turned from Americans to Europeans. So there were the British and there were the Russians and all the Germans. They came and they started doing more trade. So we did more trades with the European. But then again, we had the benefit of the language, you see? So we could communicate and did more trade than the local Thais. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. I see a lot
Mm,
of window of opportunities back to back. So,
mm.
I mean, it's safe to assume that if the legacy of all your parents and grandparents, if everybody was involved in the same line of business, so naturally, I assume that you would have also pivoted to the same direction. But ideally, you did not. But you did work at a textile outlet, right, for a brief amount of time, from what I
Yeah,
recollect.
because okay, so we had offices as textile traders. We had So after the Vietnam War and after all that, so we expanded our business. So we had offices in Japan, Korea, Singapore, Dubai later on, and of course, Bangkok being the main hub, right? So I grew up um, walking in that line, selling, going with my father, seeing my brothers, seeing how trade was. I learned it from them. And then when I got married at a very, very, very young age, I actually wanted to be a teacher like my mom. And I love kids and I love children. So I was given an opportunity to work for 9 months as a kindergarten teacher. I never really thought much about a textile because I thought it was a man's business. That's another story. Then I got married, of course, and I was not allowed it to teach because it was a kind of like a shame to the family for a daughter-in-law to be working outside her family business. So then I was stuck with my husband, and he says, "Could you help me?" So I helped him. And as you know, a lot of the Indians, if it's textile, it means they are either traders or they are they have their own tailoring shop. So that's what he was doing at that time, being a tailoring. He never liked that. So we did garments to Middle East. So he started that when I got married. So we did into, so I helped him with the, garments, LC and all that, BL, LC and all that, trading to the Middle East, ready-made garments to the Middle East. And then the Gulf War happened. So then what? When the Gulf War happened, we lost a lot of our containers into the Gulf, It just went down with Kuwait. It just went down into the sea. So we were like, oh my God, this is not happening. So he went into garments and then he had to start all over again in the year 1992. So then how? We were textiles. My brother already has that know-how. So he kind of like helped my husband at that time to do the textile business. And then what happened to me? I had to help him. So I went into textiles because of that. And I learned
Mm-hmm.
everything from the streets.
This is quite interesting, and I'm really fascinated. I want to actually hear more before we deep dive into the original topic, because I want the audience to really understand who you are and where you're really coming from. Before we hit the sweet spot, the topic of today's discussion. So, you got married at the age of 20, and you also had your first child at the age of 21 from the conversation we had before the show. So, how did early teenage marriage affect you psychologically? Because I personally feel you had to let go of a lot of opportunity when it comes to education specifically, and you had to rely towards your husband to have your daily necessities being taken care of. I want to actually hear your side, how you felt at that very moment to be pressurized to get settled.
All right, let's take it down. Okay, so I escaped getting engaged throughout my teenage life. Okay, so I said I live in a joint family, and you know that already. So I escaped that somehow thanks to my education being in an American international school. So that kind of helped, and thanks to mom for that too. But then as soon as I reached 20, because of family reputation, being one of the top notch in Bangkok and so on, I got I was my grandfather arranged for my marriage at the age of 20. So I got married, and that's tough because I had a huge culture shock. Trust me. Why? Here, let's listen to this, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm born in Thailand, Bangkok. I'm Thai by nationality. My DNA is Indian, Punjabi, Sikh, but I had an education from an international American international school. So very mixed culture. My friends were Thai and international, right? And then I had to get married to a conservative Indian family. Oh boy, I still trying to understand the Indian culture, and that was the reason why I actually came into Clubhouse to understand what really it means to be in an Indian culture and to be an Indian girl like myself. So here I was in a Sikh family, and I couldn't. I was just I just it was very 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 difficult for me to understand the culture that was supposed to be mine. So I had a lot of culture shock throughout my whole life. And that's when I started learning and realizing I came up with this motto and I came up with this slogan, expect the unexpected. It's
Absolutely.
from this.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I hope the audience listening is actually understanding how we are trying to shape this conversation, because being a teenager, getting married very early, not able to actually have like a career, or investing time on yourself for an education as a backup, it really affects the girls' cognitive, physical, and psychological skills, and they're not actually prepared to be a wife or to become a mother. In Sarah's case, actually, by the time she was 21, she was already had her first child. Now you can understand this makes a woman very very dependent when it comes to her personal needs, and to look after. Now she can obviously take care of the family, provide for her family, and you can keep things intact. But at any point of time, Sarah, did you felt caged? Did you feel that it's limiting your potential by any means? You could have done a lot more in your life, but you're kind of changed. Did you feel that way, or did the in-laws or did your husband make you feel that way? I'm just asking. I don't want you to get into the details, because I understand it's like a sensitive part of the story. Go ahead.
See, so when you talk about being caged, I find it very like that's that is a strong kind of phrase to use to say that I am being caged. Yes, if you want to say it directly, yes, it did, because that was not my dream, right? Everybody has their own dreams, and that comes differently. So like I said, I love children. I wanted to become a kindergarten teacher, and that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to go to the States, but my grandfather knew if I went to the States, I would never ever come back home. He knows that. Everybody knows that because I made it very clear to them that this is not the kind of life I wanted to live. So, okay, why did I take that decision? You must be wondering, if you know that, why did you take the decision? Why did you even get married? So here, like I explained it to you earlier, I come from a joint family. I am the fourth grandchild of the family. I'm a member of 21 different cousins and brothers and sisters, right? So all my siblings and all, which means whatever decision I make, whatever I do, it's either going to break the reputation of the family or make the reputation of the family. So my decision is going to affect each and every other person. And it has already did. It did. Why? Because like I told you, I was in India, and after I got back, that was the end of any of my siblings or anyone going back to India. So it was like, it was partly my decision to make it or break it for the family. So I didn't want to hurt my mom and dad. I have a lot of respect for my grandparents as well. And I was more worried about all my other siblings on, and the youngest one was really, really a baby and not even born, maybe like, my youngest one was born way later. So I said, yes, I felt that I was caged at one point. Of course, I'm going to say for sure I was caged, but the sacrifice I made was a respect and is a decision I made for myself, for my family, and that is also highly valued. Over to you, Jason.
I totally understand, guys. So That's actually what Sarah is. I have to play a sound effect just to applaud her for her courage to make that sacrifice. So, guys, drum roll. Here it comes. Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for that, Sarah. So let's actually get into the juicy side of today's conversation. What do you do when unexpected things happen in life, be it positive, negative? How do you deal with it? And if you could share some tips and insights to the audience so that they can also kind of apply the same thing in life.
So you want to know about the expected things in life, right?
Expect unexpected things, not expected, but
Unexpected things. Okay, so you get up in the morning, and this is like everybody in has faced this once in a while. I'm sure everyone has this. You get up in the morning, you're thinking, "Oh, today's a great day." You feel so energetic and so live and so happy and positive and everything. And then you get dressed up, and then you realize the shirt you're wearing is like the button is it's not there. Oh, you forgot to stitch the button. So you wanted to wear the shirt, but you forgot that the button is has come off and you didn't get it done. And then you try on another one and you go try another one. You keep trying and then you're already late for work. Then you go down and then hold and behold, the coffee spills on your shirt. You come up again and then you said, "Oh shit, now it's going to be a crappy day." So these things in life happen, and then you said, "Oh God, what's next?" And then you go out, and then there's bad traffic, and you miss the red light, you pass the red light, and you get a ticket, and blah blah, and it just goes on. And then you think that it's going to be the worst day ever. But you enter the office, and the client's waiting for you and say, "I've been waiting for you. I'm really interested in what you have to say, and I want to hear more about it." And it's like the whole day changes again. So what then? What? You think that's going to be a bad day, but it's not. It changes right as you walk in from the office, and everything and you feel so happy, and you come back and say, "It was the best day ever." You know this. So what I'm trying to say is that unexpected situation like this happens all the time, be it good, be it bad. I I'll tell you another funny one if you want me to say. So I was about 15. Okay, and I'm crazy about cars. I just love cars for some unknown reason. So my brother say, "Hey, do you want to drive?" I'm like, "Of course I want to drive, Why not?" So I'm like, I took a spin in the school ground, and I know the principal's looking, but so what? It's after school. Who cares, right? It's my time now. So I took a spin and I made a crazy noise, and it was okay. So and then my brother said, "Forget it, no more." Then I go on to learning how to drive a car. Okay. So while I was learning how to drive a car, and this was like the end of the school. So we have a school dance at the end of the school year. I really wanted to go because this guy was so hot and cute, and I needed to go there. But I was having this driving license, driving um, lessons. So I took the car around, and this lady with a brand new Honda, she came up from nowhere, and I banged her. And she said, "You don't have a driving license." I'm like, "Shit, I'm going to be grounded. I'm not going to get to go to a school dance or anything like that." And she says, "You're going to go to the police station." I'm like, "Why?" "Because you don't have a driving license." I said, "But I'm learning how to drive a car." So we had this argument in Thai, on the road, and everybody was looking. And remember, at that time, no mobile phones, no pager, nothing. It's landline. So I'm like, "Shit, I'm going to be really screwed, you know? So they take me to the police station, sits me like this, sat me down, and they say that we're gonna lock you up. And I'm like, "Uh-huh, really? You think you're gonna lock me down? No way." So I call up my dad, and I told my dad the story. And my dad comes with a lawyer on a motorbike to the police station, and then he said, "Okay, you can go home." I'm like, "Really? Not? And I can go to the dance, right?" That was the question I asked, and he says, "Yeah, yeah, go ahead." So I'm like, "Okay, this is cool." So, things like this, bad things comes, good things comes. And I realized that it's no point. It's really no point to think about what's going to happen next. So,
Absolutely, absolutely. From what you said, I mean, I appreciate you sharing that story. about what you tried doing to impress your first crush and banging the car. So thank you so much for sharing it. So unexpected things, guys, it can bring us happiness, excitement, fear, enjoyment, surprise, and even sometimes even negative things also. Once you accept the fact, from what Sarah is saying, once you accept the fact surprises are a part of life, it will become easier for you to deal with them. And I think it's better that you don't try controlling things which happens unexpected, right, Sarah? Because the moment you try controlling things, that's when you start to feel anxiety and stress, and you would be like, why it's not happening the way I expected it to happen. So accept it or ignore it, but avoid panicking. Focus on what you can do to be positive. I think maybe if something goes wrong in your business, see if you can equip yourself with maybe some new skills. Yeah, something on those lines. Am I right? What do you think, Sarah? Like, did I get that right?
Yeah, that's right. Okay, let me give you a different story. Let's put it in a negative way, okay?
Okay.
Make it a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
So, my children, I have three children, yes, and the eldest one is fine. My second one is bipolar, and my son has learning disability. So when it's learning disability means, as you know, they have short memories, short memory span, and they can't remember things too much. And not only that, it's very challenging for someone with learning disability to understand a subject matter. So we send the kids to school without really understanding what learning disability means. I'm talking about the years 1995, 96. In Bangkok, Thailand, it's still, can I say that in Asia country, sending your child to a psychiatrist, psychologist, or to any special need
Yeah, you can
is
say
kind of
that.
like a taboo.
Yeah, yeah,
All
it's
right.
true. I agree. It's the same here.
I had to fight that. I have to fight it every single day of my life because sending my kids to psychiatrists and therapists was like your kids are mentally retarded or something. But that's not true, right? We all know that. I thank God for the education that I have because in my school, although I'm just a high school graduate, I can tell you my teachers actually taught me each and everything about, psychology, psychiatrist, sociology, accounting, and you name it, it goes on. We learned everything in high school. So I already knew that this is just part of DNA, default. I could say default. Okay. So, but my husband and his family, they don't understand that, right? They don't get that. So they did certain things to my son, to my daughter, and I was at work. I didn't know that. And he did things when I was not even there. And what happened? I never expected all those things to happen to my child. And then I go home and then I see them and it's very distressing. It's very devastating. And I have to pick up the pieces from them. If I had to fight with my man at that time and scream and yell or do whatever, which I did, okay, because I was really young and I did that, I learned I didn't get anything from it. When I stopped doing that and concentrated on the fact that the damage occurred and I need to fix the damage and do like undo that, that was when I realized I just have to stop thinking about the man and concentrating on what was in front of me. Again, that comes back to expect the unexpected.
Yeah, so true. I totally agree. That is so true. I also want to let the audience know that we will be starting up a Q&A very shortly. And Q&A does not really mean that you just simply ask questions. Is there anything if you like to contribute as well, or maybe share your experience while you were listening to Sarah? You're welcome to do that too. So I'm opening up the space on LinkedIn. I cannot invite people from LinkedIn. You have to raise your hand and then I can bring you up. So Timothy, Manav, And I see a new user named Dusur. I'm so sorry if I butchered your name there. If you like to come up, please raise your hand. Same goes with LinkedIn as well. Alma, Tiffany, Lisa, if you guys want to come up and ask question or contribute to this conversation, you're welcome to do that. So I just have one question, and this is actually related to age. There is a lot of limitation, a lot of limited belief when it comes to entrepreneurs and certain age or age group. Many people have this perception that they can't really find a lot of success as an entrepreneur. And according to me, that age does not really matter. I mean, you can break any mold as long as you want to, and if you're willing to do the work. In your case also, guys, if you don't know, Sarah actually started her company 23 events at the age of 55. So Sarah, does age really matter for entrepreneurial success based on your life experience?
Age, this is something I'm struggling with on a daily basis because for me, with the kind of concept that I have in my mind, right? Um, it doesn't really matter. It seems like sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. But what is important is it's not about the age. I set up 23 events at the age of 55 because I was thrown into deep waters and I had to pick myself up, you know? And instead of crying over spilled milk or even instead of thinking about my age, I had to do something that will be that will make things happen with the time that I have left. So age didn't really matter to me at that time. Is my goal was I need to do it and I want to do it and I love to do it. That was it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And guys, see, I did a bit of research, and I realized that not all Fortune 500 companies which exist out there are actually run and operated and managed by young individuals. I figured out McDonald's was actually started the founder was at the age of 53 when they opened up McDonald's. Walmart, the age was 44. Oracle, the company Oracle, 35. Amazon at the age of 30. There are some companies like Twitter, Google, Apple, Microsoft, and Facebook. They were between the age of 20s and 30s. But there are a lot of businesses out there, wherein entrepreneurs are actually at a very old age and they're still able to manage to do it. I personally feel that old does not mean obsolete. I personally feel that you can always hire people who are much more talented than you are. All you have to do is that don't underestimate people who are either too young or who are too old. Give them equal opportunity, and if it helps you to run your business lean, and if you're able to profit from it, it does not matter who is on the other end of the spectrum. So yeah, that's what I feel, Sarah. I mean, would you like to share something? Because according to me, there is never will be a perfect age or a perfect time. If you have an idea, you should get started, right?
So I also have to tell you, Jason, I don't only do 23 events, okay? I also teach English. I'm also an English facilitator as well as a child and parent development coach. So I have a lot of young children, teenagers especially, that I, teach and tutor sort of. And when I look at them and I see how creative they are, do you know that they ask me on a daily basis, and these are like Thais and some of them in Indian, some of them French, a lot of international school kids. They come up and say, Sarah, do you think that I'm too young to work or to start a business? And these are like teenagers, okay? So they're like 13, 14. Do you think it would be okay for me to start working? Is it okay? And this is a question young children ask. And here you're asking someone like my age, saying, Sarah, you're 55, you're starting work. So you see how ironic this is, you
Yeah.
know? So that's it's
you,
kind of
you
ironic
you
because
don't look
they're
anywhere
asking me
close
and
to
you're asking me.
55.
So
I'm just
I'm
saying,
like,
if you have seen Sarah, she
I
doesn't.
know. So so I'm like now, right now, stuck whether what to say or not to say because I feel that if you have it in your heart to work and if you enjoy doing what you enjoy, like if you enjoy working, if you enjoy doing some trading or whatever it is that you love doing, I think it should be okay. That's the world we live in. It's our platform game, it's just our, what do you say? The world is our, playground. That's what they say.
Absolutely, absolutely. I want to actually welcome everybody who has actually joined the stage. We're going to be following a PTR queue. I have Thomas who joined first over LinkedIn. So, Thomas, welcome. So nice to see you. And I appreciate you sparing the time to join this late. I know it's very early in Australia. How are you? So nice to see you. And is there anything you like to contribute to this conversation?
Good morning, Jason, and good morning, Sarah, Timoteo, and everyone else. I I set my alarm for this one because I wanted to expect the unexpected. Although I kind of expected what was being said, but that said, Sarah, you said some wonderful words, and I really enjoyed or am enjoying listening to all of what you've said. But yeah, Jason, happy to ask a couple of questions or make some comments, but I'll be led by you.
Oh, absolutely, Thomas. Please go ahead. You feel free to ask your question or contribute.
Sure. Well, look, I just what Sarah said, especially her last thing, last few things about her family, really resonated, and I um, really admire your, I guess, courage and tenacity to one set up a business at 55, and also to share your experiences about your three children. And obviously, they're all different, and they have different abilities, and also a disability, I guess. But thank you for sharing that. Um, I'm 4 years older than you, Sarah, so I'm also in my 50s. I hate to say soon to be 60 next year, but we won't mention that. But I just did, so I've just expected the unexpected. But um, I have one son who's 16, and every day I expect the unexpected with him because he's a unique child, just like all our children. But for me personally, um, I've had a varied career. I worked in telecommunications for many years. I also worked in hospitality. I worked in finance, insurance, and more recently in vendor management, helping manage outsource companies, predominantly in India and the Philippines. So I um, what Jason said earlier about control, I think is key. I think that word control, or trying not to control things, is really important, because I know from my experience and my kind of life experience that as soon as you try to control something, whether it's in a corporation or whether it's in your own business, you will end up frustrating yourself. You'll end up getting somewhat depressed. You'll end up getting anxious, because life's not about that. You can't control everything. And if you go into each day expecting that things might happen that you don't expect, you end up going more with the flow, and you end up having a better day at the end of the day. I, was when I was a student at university, I dropped out because I expected university to be a certain structure, and it wasn't. And You can't control certain things. But now, as a 59-year-old, every day when I wake up, I expect that every day is going to be unique, and someone might tap me on the shoulder and say hi, and or I might bump into someone, and that leads me down a chain of a network or a discussion, and that's great. Um, so I like the title. I like what you've said, Sarah, and really enjoying this discussion. Thanks, Jason.
Well, thank you, Thomas. It's always nice to have you on my show. Always nice to hear from you, and you have some great tips, which you also personally shared. So, thank you so much for that. I want to welcome Rohan, who is on Clubhouse. Thank you for your patience. Do you have a question for Sarah, or is there anything you like to contribute today?
Well, it's wonderful to be here and being part of the Indian culture and resonating with what was spoken here. And I truly understand now the concept of uh, expecting the unexpected with the stories that are shared by Sarah. And when you called us up, I thought the show is over, but I'm expecting more. But I would still say that is that's still unexpected. You never know. You may have a uh, next chapter two of Expect the Unexpected season with Sarah. So it's lovely, and yeah, uh, that's me, Roshan. And my question would actually be, when is the chapter two coming? That's the only question I have. Thank you, Jason.
Sarah, any idea about chapter 2?
First of all, let me say thank you to Thomas for such beautiful words that he said. And I can understand. And actually, age is not age, as everybody knows, just a number given by I don't know who, but it is
Biologically.
there. Perhaps, yeah. And I don't know about the second chapter. I really don't know. It all depends on Jason. He's the master Yoda.
I have no idea why she's saying that, but thank you. So, Rowan, do you have a follow up question? Anything else you like to ask before we move on to Alicia?
Well, my only question is, what happens next after the day goes good and we close the deal? Uh, should we still expect, or should we continue the concept of being expecting the unexpected?
So you mean to say in terms of when the deal is done,
That's a
right?
nice question, but yeah.
Yeah. So when the deal is done, um, it does it really get done? You see, it's just one section of the deal. When you say the deal is done, there is always a follow up. That's why they have customers follow up and feedbacks and stuff like that. So all that is still something ongoing. Loyalty, and in terms of when we talk about business loyalty and making deals and all like that. For example, when you buy a car, you buy a Toyota car, right? You still have after service. They still called you. They still try to take care of you. And then they even introduce you to new cars. I mean, new models of the car. And then what happens? You might change it. They might have other offers. So it doesn't really, you think it's end, but it isn't. Nothing is end. Nothing is end. Nothing goes, nothing ever ends. There's always something new. So that's what we don't expect, right? It's unexpected.
I personally love that answer. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that, Sarah. Rohan, does that answer your question, brother? Do you have anything else you like to ask?
No, thank you so much, Jason, for that. And yeah, uh, and I'm happy that I have a new nickname, Rohan. Thank you so much.
Oh, you know what? Actually, I'm so sorry. My phone was actually tilted. I could not actually see the word S. So Roshan, I'm so sorry. Uh,
That's okay, but
thank
that's
you, thank
expect the
you.
unexpected.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And Alicia, welcome to the stage. So, Alicia, guys, if you don't know, Alicia was actually on my show last week. We did a show about creating viral content. If you want to actually listen to that episode, go on to my Spotify account or Apple or Google Podcasts. Please definitely have a listen. She has a SaaS based company and she also does viral marketing. I really love her expertise. And if you do have anything which is related to that, please do not hesitate to reach out to Alicia and ask for professional help. I would highly encourage you to do it. So, Alicia, welcome. So great to see you this week again. Is there anything you like to contribute or ask Sarah? Alicia, are you there? Please flash your mic if you're available. Oh,
That
nice.
thing, I can never see that thing. Good day, everyone. Sarah, I wanted to actually tell you a story. When I was in college, I used to hang with a girl who she came in as a person with learning disabilities. Okay. And when you look at what happened with her as comparison to a lot of like other people, she graduated summa cum laude. Why? Because she was focused. And I think that a lot of times people take certain things for granted. The opportunity that someone who has, learning disabilities does is totally different. And so one of the things that I saw was that when you give them an opportunity, you give them a chance, they really take it there. I mean, she scored higher than everyone. And she was so worried in the beginning, like she had more competition and all that. And she didn't, because she had that heart and she had a family who believed in her. So, I think that, being a child of you will definitely yield um, a great yield in the long run. So I think you're being a great mom, and I thank you for sharing that story.
May I intervene, Alicia? Must say thank you so much. I did enjoy your show yet last week as well. Learned something and I did use it as well this week. So I want to say that. And yes, you're right. You said you nailed it when you say she got a very supportive parents to help her out. Here in my case, I must say that okay, my eldest one is already 30 over, okay, and she's got two grandchildren. I mean, she's got two children, my two grandchildren, and my bipolar daughter is actually an auditor from a very good firm here in Bangkok. And my son, he is still struggling, but with a lot of prayers and a lot of help, he's coming through and he is a textile trader as well. So I'm doing okay. And you're right. It really takes a lot of support system from the parents. And I must say that despite everything, although I'm divorced, I never give up on my kids. And that's really true. Parents really need to support their children and hear them out. So thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Alicia. I appreciate those kind words. And thank you so much for sharing that story also. It was very, very beautiful. Would you like to ask a question before we move on to the next speaker in queue, Alicia?
No, actually, Sarah, I'm going to actually reach out to you because we're in a similar space. Um, and I do trade shows only though. So, but I do get leads in regards to, other events and things of that nature. Maybe we can work together, and then, I'll have a frame of reference for them to go to.
Oh, that'd be great. Thank you so, so much. That really is great.
Yeah, expecting the unexpected. Thank you, Alicia. I appreciate that very, very much. The next speaker on queue is Timothy. So Timothy, thank you so much for being on LinkedIn. So nice to see you. I think you changed your profile name if I'm not mistaken, right?
Grazie, grazie. Yes, that would be very interesting to Italianize my anglicized name. You see, Timoteo Arco is flows so much more beautifully than Timothy Archer. So, I sound just so very appropriate to working in the automobile industry. So, just all kidding aside, thank you for having me today. And it was just a fun experiment, and actually, an associate of mine in London who's helping with some consultancy and mentoring in my professional life. She has suggested that it would be a really good idea for me to come up with a design house name. And I think Timoteo Arco is actually a really good name, a designo Timoteo Arco, I think, is a really attractive designer name, and I've been really making a lot of headway with my LinkedIn promotions over the past year. And in addition to the automotive industry business, I've been able to promote my furniture design skills, and I've also got a line of DIY home improvement products that are going to be in the works for sometime release, hopefully sometime in 2023. And it's just they're just each are single examples of the kinds of things that we can do with our imagination if we reject all of our preconceived notions about what we may be capable of, and if we learn to step out of that small time mindset and
Hey Timothy, just a
imagine.
second. Let me do a sound check quickly.
Sure,
One sec. So guys,
sure.
are you able to hear Timothy loud and clear? Because I find the voice a little muffled. What about you, Sarah?
Yes, I can.
Okay, go ahead, Timothy. So sorry, I didn't
Here,
mean to
let me
cut you.
boost it. Oh, that's okay. Is this better?
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead, go ahead. So, anything you like
Okay,
to
I boost.
contribute to the conversation we are having? Anything you like to ask Sarah? Feel free. I'm so sorry. I didn't actually share this in the beginning of the introduction I was doing with you. Please go ahead, Timothy.
Yeah, I just like to applaud the whole spirit of the conversation and encourage everybody to step out of their preconceived notions about what they're capable of doing with their present station in life and with the resources that they have available to them. Because, when we set the mindset that we can and that we are doing something, then we set forth the metaphysical forces in the universe that actually come to our aid. We tap into our creative connection with our source creator, and it actually brings to us the things and the individuals that we need in order to manifest the things that we're imagining. And it's really true that we should never underestimate the potential impact that our work can have in the eyes of the people and in the imaginations. I'm sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now we can. Yeah.
Yeah, my apologies. My alarm went off, and obviously I'm already on it. So, yeah, just at this age in our lives, and I think that most of us here are in our mid 50s, and myself, I'll be 57 in about 5 weeks. And over the past year, I've been really fortunate. Jason's probably seen a bit of my work, and some of the other folks in the room may or may not have. But I've been using LinkedIn to promote my work as a designer of automobiles and of home improvement products and of furniture designs, and particularly with Automobili da Vinci. I began with just an earnest desire to work as a designer. And in just seconds, literally seconds after I posted my first drawing on October 1st last year, I began to set a fire in the imaginations of the executive level of the auto industry, and they have really rallied around me and have just lovingly taken me in. And just in the last couple of weeks, I've seen actual indications in so many words on LinkedIn from some of my top supporters in the industry, as Sylvain Lecoy, for example, and Hildegard Wortmann from Audi AG, both have been uplifting my name and lauding my connections to my contributions to the industry, and have been really letting me know that I've already gained a warm acceptance among them as an automaker, even though I haven't even officially formed my company or built an automobile yet. So just really everybody, don't give up on yourselves. Don't ever undersell the value of yourself and your ideas and the value of your commitment to stand up and to put those ideas out where that they can be appreciated by others. And remember that anything that you can write down in words, or if you could even make a poorly drawn sketch, if that's all you can do, that's a step in the right direction. And once it's down on paper, it can be shown to other people who can then get it into their imagination and you can discuss it with them. And once that's done, really, you might be really incredulous to imagine what a couple of sketches that, in my opinion, were pretty crude examples of my work. What that let loose for me, and the illustration that you see in my PTR here is actually that's something that I posted on November 9 of last year. And the framework of the car has actually undergone a redesign a little bit. It's been stretched and widened, and it still looks essentially the same, but a lot of that design work still remains to be done. And I'm going to be in Las Vegas in about 2 weeks at another top tier car event where I'll be meeting with my colleagues at Automobile Pininfarina from Italy, and we will be discussing their involvement in the completion of this project and the signing of contracts with the automakers that we will partner with to make this car. And it's just such an exciting time in my life. I should offer to give up the mic now and make room for the next speaker. But everybody, please go right now to your mirror and just give yourself a kiss. I know that sounds really, really silly, and guys, I encourage you to do it too. And look yourself in the eyes, people, and tell yourself, "I love you. I love you, and you're beautiful, and all of your ideas freaking rock. And they've got intrinsic, they have inestimable value. And look yourself in the eyes and say, your value is inestimable, and for you alone to quantify. And I want you all to love on yourselves and hug on yourselves and love and honor your ideas and respect yourself more than anybody and anything. And your ideas all will rally around you, as will your archangels, and they're going to lift you up, as will the people you want to work with.
I
And everything that you ever dreamed of making happen and more than you can imagine will happen. And I'm going to be proving it in about 3 weeks. So I love you guys and thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for that, Timothy. I wish you good luck with the event which is going to happen. I wish you success. And like you said, I'm going to say to myself, I love you. I hug you. I kiss you. Thank you. Thank you for that awesome share. Sarah, is there anything you like to share with Timothy from what he stated?
I think what he said was kind of like it's kind of like I wasn't expecting that, but you know what? It's beautiful because this is what I need. I actually really need that, and Roshan can tell you that too, because I've got lots of ideas and I keep thinking, oh, maybe my ideas aren't good enough. But you know what, Timothy? You just proved them, you proved me wrong. My ideas are good enough and it's going to be rocking. Thank you so much for that.
Sarah, your ideas are more than enough, and you and everybody, you all, your ideas truly are, and you all are more than enough and always were. We are quantum. We are manifesting generators.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much for that beautiful share. And I just want to welcome Lisa. Lisa, thank you so much for joining our stage from Clubhouse. I just want to give you guys a heads up. I'm going to have a next week's show, October 19th, show with Lisa, whom you see on Clubhouse. We're going to be speaking about the science and psychology of goal setting. And just in case if you don't know, uh, Lisa has actually studied behavioral science. She has done her master's in it. So we will be breaking down the complexities of entrepreneurial goal setting on my next week's show. So I would definitely recommend you to look out for the show. I have already posted links on LinkedIn as well as on Clubhouse, and you should be able to find it easily. So thank you, Lisa. Thank you so much for your patience. Is there anything you like to contribute or ask question to Sarah? Anything?
Thank you so much, Jason, and thank you so much for the wonderful energy that's just been shared into the room. And I would like to say to everyone here, we are not old. I think that's a very, I don't know what old means. I think we're, like we said, we're living in the moment, and it's just actually wonderful to be in your 50s because finally you really know who you are, and it's so exciting to be doing what you want to do. I'm loving that period, and I'm thinking, oh, wow, like you said, we now know we're enough, and you don't need to keep trying to change. So I think it's a wonderful time to celebrate. And my husband's like 67, and I still don't think he's old. So I think it's completely a mindset because I know old people who are 25, which is a bit sad. But I did want to thank Sarah for her story, and I think like having that like grit, I think to get out of or to keep going in those sort of situations when family beliefs and family respect, you've given so much respect to your family, but you've still really pushed on. So that's wonderful. I think choice was the most important thing you said. I think we all get to a point where we want to have choices to do whatever we want to do. You know, you can choose, there's no right or wrong, but having that freedom of choice is really key, I think, in all of it. I think life is a roller coaster. My daughter also has autism, and there's lots of ups and downs that you didn't expect on the journey. It's a different journey than, I believe in Disney and magic. So like when you get married, you're not thinking a roller coaster is going to go this way. But it's taught me so much, and I think you can choose whether you hold your eyes closed and you get off and vomit, or you can actually just wave your arms in the air and enjoy each moment because, like Sarah says, there's always going to be another up, and you're powerful enough and strong enough to deal with the downs is just the most important thing. The question I did have to ask Sarah was, do you think having children with disability or with different types of brains, I like to think of, is like neurodiversity, do you think that actually does give you so much more strength in life? Like it's taught me so many lessons that I had no idea about before.
Hi, Lisa. So for me, right, I believe that I was given a chance to take care of special children like this, because God knew or knows that I'm capable of it, and I treasure that. I really treasure what He's given me, and I'm doing my best to serve His children. So I don't see my children as mine only. I also see it as His children. I could be a little bit, I am spiritual in some aspect, but that's the way I want to believe because, for me, God is my guiding angel, and He's given me so much. Even at the time I had nothing, He still supported me. And there's lots of other stories I can tell you. So, having disability children, yes, it's very challenging, but at the same time, it is because He chooses the right woman to take care of special children like that is an honor. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Lisa, do you have another follow up question? Anything else you like to ask Sarah?
No, I agree, Sarah, that everything as it should be, and there's no mistakes in the world. So I trust that universal power has given me something that I'm totally capable of dealing with, and it's given me so much more strength and different perspectives in the world, and it's actually given me the ability to help other people like you are now. So I think it is a gift, just as much as so many obstacles are actually opportunities and things you learn from. Because I think one of the things I thought of when you were speaking was you take action, and that's actually the most important thing, is just taking action when you need to, whether it works or not. You've started a new business. I'm starting a new business. I've just bought a retreat to create a space where I can help people, but I've never done that before in my life and really have no idea what I'm doing. But it's that belief in self that's so key. So thank you so much for sharing. It's been lovely to join you. I'm glad my microphone and everything worked, Jason. So I look forward to next week. Curiosity is essential, my friends. I thank you.
Yeah. Lisa, you're a beautiful woman, you know. The things I'm excited to hear about what you have to say about it next week as well. There's so many, like Jason's picked up really beautiful women, men who, you know, come up with great ideas and very motivating. So I'm really, really pleased and happy to know him, not as a friend only, he's more than a friend, like he's really a motivator as well. So I really appreciate, you know, Jason in so many aspects. Yeah.
I will add to that, Jason, since we've now been called Yoda, we might as well praise you up a bit more. That I've seen you. I was thinking tonight, like the way you've pushed through and you've had so much grit, but you've had so much momentum and motion and action. And be really proud of where you're at now, because you're a standard of being a podcaster, presenter. You've got your own show. You are and like Sarah said, I think your energy attracts good humans. There's really clever, smart people in the room talking with great energy. So that's because of you. So thank you so much for that gift. And it has been a gift to meet you as well. I do look forward to next week as well, having a chat.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Lisa and Sarah, both of you guys, for those kind words which you shared, including everybody else who is present here. Now it's actually time for our rapid fire questions. Let's have that sound effect. This is going to be fun. So, I would have one common question which I will circle to everyone who is on stage, and the rest would be just for Sarah alone specifically. So, to start off with, Sarah, what is the most unusual thing have you ever eaten?
Unusual thing that I've ever eaten. Wow.
You have to be quick. Come on. It's a rapid fire
I
question.
can't think, man. Unusual. I don't know. Unusual thing. God. Unusual. What is unusual?
Weird
I'm
food?
a vegetarian, so I don't have much that is unusual, you know, and I don't know much of what
Okay.
is unusual.
Okay. Okay. I give up. Next
Sorry.
question. Which of the five senses would you say is your strongest?
My ears, my
Are you
listening.
sure? Because I think last time
Yeah.
you said it's smell.
It's both, you know, I'm kind of like an alien in some aspect. So funny, but yeah. So what happens is that, you know, I can hear electricity running through the house, sometimes through the wires and
Oh
all
God,
that.
you have that like
I
ability like a dog.
it hurts my ears at a very sometimes when it's very high frequency, I can hear it and it really hurts my eardrums. Another thing is my nose. Sometimes I can have a very like I'm very quick in terms of my smell. You know, I don't know. Maybe you're right. Maybe I am a dog. I don't know. Could be.
Okay, okay. Next question. If you had like a warning label, what would yours say?
A warning label.
Yeah.
See, don't touch. She will burn.
Okay, okay. So my last question, and this would be common for everybody in this space who are in the audience. I'm sorry, not in the audience, in the speaker section. What is the most interesting thing that you can see out of your office or kitchen window? I'll repeat. What is the most interesting thing you can see outside your office or kitchen window? Let's start with Sarah.
Okay, so office window. You see, I live around trees. So what is the most interesting thing I can see? Uh,
Outside your office
uh
or kitchen window. Anything interesting?
I only see plants. What is interesting about
All right.
plants?
So
I'm
plants.
surrounded. Yeah,
Surrounded
I'm
by
surrounded
plants
by plants.
and
That's all
vegetation.
I see all day, all night. Okay, I saw once that one thing that I can say it's interesting is like, um, this particular kind of bird that would come to my house, okay, and it would just rest there for hours, and then by midday it would just leave.
Oh, nice. All right. So it's like a retreat the bird has, to go and.
It's not only the bird, it's also the cat.
I want to actually ask the same question to Thomas. Thomas, if you were to answer that question, what would be your answer?
Well, can I answer it in a slightly different variation,
Yeah,
Jason? So
absolutely.
you said, what's the most interesting visual out my office? So most of the time I work from home, from the study, which faces the next door neighbour's garden, but it's not so much what I see, because we've had to build a big fence. That's a whole other story, which I won't go into, but it's what I hear, not what I see. And what I hear is, for the last 6 months, grinding. And it's grinding of workmen working on a very, very expensive garden. And I kind of joke with the next door neighbour, because it's taken him 5.5 months to complete this amazing, supposedly amazing garden. I think Americans call it yard or something. We call them gardens in Australia. But, it's tiered, it's layered. But the grinding is the noise of the slate being fashioned and customized in these articulate, like a jigsaw puzzle. So that's what I hear, not what I see.
Interesting. Thank you so much for sharing that. I hope it's not keeping you awake for a long time and disturbing you.
Well, that's why I do my work at 3 a.m. listening to your podcast, because they don't do grinding at 3 a.m.
I want to ask the same question to Roshan. So, Roshan, if you're there, how would you answer that? Would you want me to repeat the question?
No, I heard the question. Thank you so much for that. And the interesting thing I would say is the bird. When I used to previously work in an office setup, there used to be a cuckoo bird which used to come and sing every morning whenever I was at the office, even though my work involved me to travel a lot. But whenever I was at the office, so I did come across this cuckoo bird who used to sing every morning.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I appreciate that share, Roshan. I really feel glad that you guys can see the nature, plants, trees, birds, unlike me. Okay, let's actually hear from Timothy out in LinkedIn. Timothy, what do you say? Do you want me to repeat the question? Are you there? Timothy? Okay, he might be away, I guess. Oh, he's there.
Yes, here.
Okay.
Yeah, my apologies. I was
Back.
out. I had to respond to a message here real quickly. I'm sorry. Can you bring me up to date a
Yeah,
second?
absolutely. What is the most interesting thing you see or hear because of Thomas' contribution? So it's see or hear out of your office or kitchen window.
Oh my gosh, you know what? I keep all of the windows in my office completely blacked out so that I'm not distracted by anything else, because I find that outside influences tend to interfere with my imagination and with my concentration. So what I see through my window is what I see through my mind's eye, and that is the manifestation of every hope, every wish, every dream that I've ever conceived of in my lifetime. And over the years, I've planted a garden, so to speak, of I think I heard Thomas mention a garden, and I've literally planted a creative ideological garden of seeds. And they have, over the past year, especially, they've germinated and they've rooted and they've grown like crazy. And now those trees are all full of fruit, and there's hanging vines of flowers and blossoms, and they're all bearing fruit. And all of these things are valuable produce that are the outgrowth, literally, of all of my creative endeavors. They're literally the fruits of my labors, and the same can be true for each and every one of us, provided that we just simply believe in ourselves and love our ideas, and we believe in them, and they'll believe in us in return. The last thing that we ever want to have happen in our lifetimes is to be on our deathbed at the end of that life, and to be looking around at all of the unfulfilled dreams, all of the ghosts of those dreams that we shot in the face because we didn't believe in them, or we let our friends or our family members shoot those dreams in the face, or they just starved because we didn't feed them. We don't want them looking at us and saying, "Why didn't you believe in us? Why didn't you love us? We were here for you. We tried to help you. We wanted to help you, but you didn't seem to even recognize us." And so I hope nobody ever has to go through that experience, and that we learn to live in and love in those dreams, and live them to the fullest, and we'll be so thrilled and overwhelmed with the outcomes. Thank you.
You're welcome, Timothy. So black windows, guys. Remember, black windows.
Hey, Jason, can I
Yeah,
just say one thing?
sure.
Sorry to interrupt, but can I just say that I think Timothy, and apologies that I called you Timoteo, but that's what I see on my screen. But can I say, I think Timothy has missed the calling. I don't think he should be CEO, founder of cars and stuff like that, or automobiles, or whatever you call it in America. I think he should be a world-renowned inspirational speaker.
Well, thank you, Thomas. Actually, I'm about to sign a contract at the end of this month with the Bruce Marin agency from Los Angeles. He also runs Bruce Marin Celebrity Speakers, which is an outgrowth of his 50-year-old agency, promoting well-known individuals like every president of the United States since Ronald Reagan has been represented by his agency. And he was a personal friend of Johnny Carson's, and I believe he still represents Jay Leno. And I think I have Jay in part to thank for the fact that the Marin Agency reached out to me. So I do believe that in just a few weeks, Thomas, exactly that is going to begin happening. So thank you very much for that suggestion.
Absolute pleasure. You just sound so energetic that, I mean, it's 4:24 a.m. here in Australia, and I'm not going to go back to sleep because of you, because you've just your energy has just fired me up. It's like 25 cups of coffee has just been injected into my vein, and I won't need a coffee this morning, and I will, because I'll physically get a headache if I don't have my first cappuccino in about an hour. But yeah, just wanted to say, I mean, and I think you're a shot in the arm for Sarah and Lisa and everyone else on the call. And it's just incredible listening to you, because you can turn a question that Jason asks about an office, and then you go to the blackness, and then you go to this amazing, incredible technicolor answer. So yeah, I just admire you, and I wish I lived in Miami. I want to have a beer with you, mate.
Oh, well, I don't drink anymore, but I'd be happy to have a cup of coffee when you have a
Well,
beer, and I'll
but
be
you
in
don't need
Miami
a coffee.
soon. Oh,
Come down under, mate, and I'll buy you 20 coffees.
well, I'll be there actually before too long. Since I'm going to Las Vegas to get this thing going, that comes concurrent with my efforts to get a bunch of LLC filings done, and to get my businesses all licensed under a new filing. And I'm working with an international tax accountant right now who's a childhood friend of mine. And so pretty soon I'm going to be absolutely in the position where I have no choice but to travel, because my media appointments and all of that stuff that's going to come as a result of signing with Bruce, that's all going to require me to travel constantly. Plus, now attending top tier car events like the Concours d'Elegance at Pebble Beach, which I attended back in August. and the one in Las Vegas on the 30th at the Wynn Hotel is actually the second one that I'm going to attend in my lifetime, and the second one this year. And really, I think that the presentation of the agreement for myself to work with Pininfarina was supposed to have been made actually in August. I was in early August, I was invited by my colleague Gosta Henning at Pininfarina in Italy to attend Monterey Car Festival for the entire week, but I didn't quite understand the invitation, and I should have asked more questions because they would have flown me down there for the entire week, and I'd have been the guest of honor at their corporate flat above the resort, and they'd have introduced me to absolutely everybody, and I'd have ridden in amazing cars. But the good news is I still had an amazing time, and I did attend Pebble Beach that Sunday, the 21st, which happened to be the 12-year anniversary of the date that I nearly got crushed to death in the incident that ruined my life and left me penniless for the last 12 years. So, so I'm on the doorstep of some pretty amazing things. And I actually that day I got to meet and shake hands very briefly with Monta Rimac, the founder of Rimac Automobili and Rimac Technology. And as of November 9 last year, he's also the CEO of the new merger Bugatti Rimac. And on that day, I posted the article that contains the photo that you see here in my PTR and other illustrations, other views of that work. And that very day, when I was speaking with a designer who works under contract with Pininfarina for the manufacturer NIO in China, I was discussing the possibility that I might go to work for NIO. And the Alessandro Torone, the gentleman in question, he came back from a meeting and saw the material that I posted as I had done a little research on NIO, and was really thrilled with this car, the EP9. It's one of the fastest cars ever built, like the Rimac Nevera. And he came back and said, Tim, you know, it's very, very possible you could come to work for NIO, but why don't you go talk to Bugatti Rimac? And just minutes after I posted my article, that merger was announced. It was really a huge day.
Well, look, you've got to. That's a lot of information to digest, even for me at 4 a.m. in the morning. But I'll just say, you have a coffee sponsor if you come to, or when you come to Melbourne, Australia. You have a coffee sponsor. I don't know if I can sponsor you and a game of golf at Pebble Beach, but if you play golf, I can certainly sponsor you somewhere else. But certainly, it'd be nice to meet you one day in person.
Well, thank you. And the good news, the really good news for everybody, especially since I've gone on so long here, is that I'm getting ready to launch my own 12-step group. It's for people like myself who can't seem to stop talking, and it's going to be called
Well, mate, I think that's very commendable.
I appreciate that
very,
very much. Yeah. Thank you so much for that. And I see, we would be wrapping up this space very soon. I want to get, heads up from Lisa. Lisa, let me ask you the same question. What's the most interesting thing you see or hear outside your office or kitchen window?
Thank you so much, Jason. I was just giggling to myself because I went to Toastmasters to learn to stop talking, not to actually learn to speak. Because they just kept coming out sometimes. So yes, it hasn't really helped, though. Bulgaria continues occasionally, but I'm very lucky where I live. I've moved into like the Byron hinterland, so I'm really in like a tropical paradise. But I also see cows and horses. They're like in the paddock next to me. And just recently, because it's spring, which is nice, all the flowers are coming out, snakes have been mating, which sounds really weird, but it is actually like quite cool. I'm like, oh, it must be spring because snakes are mating. I'm like, that's weird because in England, it's normally lambs and things like that I would see doing those sort of things. But yeah, they wrecked our electric lighting and it all came down in the ceiling because we could hear them up there doing it. And the next morning we thought that was funny and excellent. And then the next morning I was like, what have you done to my bloody ceiling? But they are very safe. They're carpet pythons. So I am super lucky. I get to see I saw a water dragon. I've got chickens. So I'm very lucky to be surrounded by nature.
That is super cool, Lisa. I've seen some of the pictures as well, which you post on Instagram, and I think it's a very beautiful place where you reside. So, thank you so much for that awesome share. And I want to actually give Sarah the opportunity to actually promote her business. So Sarah, if you can briefly tell us if there are any upcoming events, promotions, speaking engagements, anything which is expected to happen in the next couple of weeks, anything you want the audience to be aware of, reach out to you.
So 23 events is inspired by you. That's the slogan. We recently did a couple of events, basically mostly Indian based events. And coming up would be like Halloween, of course. And then we have Christmas, and then we just did Diwali. And those are some of the upcoming events happening. Other than that, we have like some really cool projects coming up next year. It's all in the works and it's in the pipes. We're still waiting to see what kind of confirmation, like birthdays, weddings, and exhibitions. All these are all coming up soon. So 23 events is not just about personal events or events that are related to your own, birthdays and stuff like that. And it's not only about me doing it for the bucks. I do it because I like M&Ms. Now, what is M&Ms? M&M is, of course, it's a chocolate, right?
Oh, Slim Shady.
No, I
Okay.
love him too. I really did. Although many people they don't really like him because he uses a lot of vulgar words, but I like it. I like Slim Shady. Anyway, M&M. Okay, it's a chocolate that melts in your mouth but not in your hands. Okay, that's their slogan. So why? I make memories, and that's what 23 events is all about, making memories for you. So
If
that,
people want to make these memories, positive memories about maybe a life event related to business, anything, how can they reach out to you? What would be the best way to
yeah.
reach out?
So you can reach out to me through my 23 events Instagram. Um, 23 events Thailand. That's my Instagram name. You can also reach out in my bio. It also gives the link to 23 events. You can always reach out. I'm always here to give you ideas and be creative as you want me to. I will also bring in the touch of Thai and Indian culture into that event, giving it a little bit of oof, you could say. Yes, that's basically 23 events. And if you want to know why 23, that's because I'm born on the 23rd. And in Thailand, the number 23 is actually I'm born 23 October, 23rd October, which is the day that the great king passed away. So he's well respected. So that also is another reason why I name it 23. And most importantly, I gave it the name 23 because in one day we have 24 hours. My service to you is 23 hours. I only ask for 1 hour of rest. And with that, I
Well,
give it over to you.
that is very, very thoughtful. She's a very hardworking person I have met. I've never seen her taking a break, always doing X, Y, Z, something or the other. She's always engaged and occupied. So, Sarah, before we wrap up the show, do you have any final thoughts, anything you want to share with the audience before we wrap up the show for today? Any key takeaways?
I mean, first of all, Jason, I would like to say thank you for having me over in this podcast. And this is my first time doing it, and really appreciate the hard work that you put in to have me here. And you've been asking me for a long time, I know, and I really appreciate that. The last thing I could say is, for me, expect the unexpected, and you'll never be worried about anything. You'll never worry about anything because you never expect anything. Be happy, keep yourself motivated, stay in tune with yourself, stay strong. And with that, I wish you all the best of luck. Good
Thank you.
night.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much to all my listeners. I appreciate everybody who've been, consistently listening to the show. So I want to say, thanks to Karen, Maria, and I see Tiffany, who is also a very close friend of mine. She's just in the listening lounge at this moment of time. So thank you so much to everybody who contributed to this conversation. And I also want to thank everybody who was listening, not only live, but also on Spotify, Google, or Apple, or other broadcasting platforms, audio-based broadcasting platforms out there. See you next week. All the events and all the show details are being listed on my page. Take care of yourself. Have an amazing day, afternoon, morning, evening, wherever you are in the world. Take care. Bye.